Liverpool's quest to search for a successor to Jurgen Klopp rumbles on. Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to another video. Yes, today's video is going to centre around the big news story that is Liverpool Football Club and their continued search for a successor to Jurgen Klopp for when the German leaves the club at the end of the season. The quest to find the next Liverpool manager rumbles on for Liverpool as news reports coming out within the past 24 to 48 hours or so aren't exactly the most positive in regard to the latest frontrunner to seemingly be ruled out of succeeding Jurgen Klopp at the end of the season. We've already had Xabi Alonso rule himself out and seemingly reject us. We now are seemingly rejecting ourselves, if reports are to be believed, that is, Ruben Amorim of Sporting Lisbon. And the news reports today circulating around this story are stating that the latest frontrunners are the likes of Arne of Feyenoord and Gary O'Neill of Wolves. We're going to be talking about this story. We're going to be talking about all parties that are involved. We're going to be talking about Liverpool Football Club and the quest to find the successor to Jurgen Klopp, to find the guy who's going to fill in the shoes of the German manager. But before we get into all of that, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. And of course, get involved in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it on this particular situation down below in that comment section. I'm sure it'll make for interesting and great reading. Otherwise, let's get into the video. Let's talk this whole Liverpool and the managerial situation surrounding the club. I'm a bit concerned, or I'm growing concerned, should I say, in regards to this story. We've already been rejected by Xabi Alonso, and I 100% completely understand his decision, and I somewhat agree with his decision to stay at Bayer Leverkusen. I understand and get that. And now it seems that we are turning our attention away from Ruben Amorim of Sporting Lisbon. I like Amorim. I said once Alonso was out the running and out the race that Amorim should be the guy to turn to, because originally I did say De Zerbi, but I've since heard a lot of good stuff about Amorim. I've seen a little bit of it firsthand, and obviously having talked to people and done a bit of research and everything, I like the idea of Ruben Amorim coming to Liverpool. And then David Ornstein drops the bombshell yesterday that allegedly Liverpool's preferences for a new manager rely elsewhere. So it seems that, although it's not concrete and not definitive, Amorim is seemingly out the race by Liverpool's own hand. Now, whether or not you believe that or not is up to you. This could be a case of Amorim rejecting Liverpool and Liverpool trying to save face by saying, oh no, we're looking elsewhere, we're looking elsewhere. Or this could genuinely be Liverpool looking elsewhere. Remember, it was only a week ago, or a week or so ago, that allegedly a deal was very close to being struck between the two parties. Liverpool had allegedly met with Amorim's representatives. There was allegedly talks. There was even allegedly a 3-year deal that was on the table for Amorim to sign. So, read into all of that what you will, but like I say, the reports in the past 24 to 48 hours or so are seemingly suggesting that it's not going to happen now. And then today, we get reports of the likes of Gary O'Neill of Wolves and Arne of Feyenoord are now the potential front runners for this job. What I will say on Gary O'Neill is that I like what he's done at Wolves this season, and I like what he did at Bournemouth last season. And I didn't really necessarily agree with Bournemouth's stance on sacking him and obviously replacing him in the way that they did. But I like his brand of football. I like what he offers. I like the potential that he's got. But it's obviously a massive gamble. It's obviously a massive gamble to take a guy who's had a couple of good years with low-level to mediocre Premier League clubs, has done really well with them, with all due respect to him and to the clubs themselves. But to obviously make that jump to Liverpool is just something else, especially to fill the shoes of Jurgen Klopp is just going to be something else for him, as we've seen time and time again. Certain up-and-coming managers like that don't necessarily do well when they make that big jump up before they are seemingly ready. And he could be another guy for that. I think he's a good manager. I don't think he's great or world class as of yet, but you know, there's a lot of time for him. He's still relatively young. My just personal thought on him is that for him to fill the shoes of Jurgen Klopp is probably too big of a task for him, and something that he shouldn't do. He should really build something with what he's got working for him right now at Wolves. He should stay at Wolves. He should basically take a leaf out of Xabi Alonso's book, stay where he currently is, build himself up, and maybe in a year or two's time, maybe we may revisit this conversation, depending on where we are, and depending on where he is, and depending on where other big clubs may be at in that kind of time frame. What I will say about Arne Slot is he's someone that does somewhat intrigue me. Dutch manager with Feyenoord, plays an attacking brand of football. Different to Jurgen Klopp in terms of the intensity aspect. He's not really a high press situation guy. He's more of a bide your time, a little bit more pragmatic. He's not really high risk, high reward. He's more, if you lose the ball, if you can get it back, go for it. But mainly, I want you to drop back and I want you to get back in shape, and then we go again. So he's a bit more defensive minded in that aspect, but he still plays a brand of football that is attacking. He still plays a nice brand of football in which the fullbacks are the main source of the attacking lineup, and that's where he bases his main source of attack on, which is obviously going to suit Liverpool down to the ground, having the likes of Andy Robertson on one side and of course Trent Alexander-Arnold on the other side. So with them two pushing forward and providing the attack, that's obviously going to benefit. The 4-2-3-1 that he normally plays, that can be flexible into a 4-3-3, does work as well. You can get two DMs in there as well to kind of counteract the space in behind that the fullbacks will leave. So that could work again for Liverpool, be a bit more defensive solid. Either way, it doesn't sound like it's going to be too different if we get Arne Slot to Jurgen Klopp. There are obviously some differences in there, and there are going to be some big differences and some little differences as well. The big difference obviously being the way that we are out of possession in contrast from Jurgen Klopp to Slot, but at the same time there are definitely some similarities there. So it's not like we're burning everything down that to rebuild it back up again in a different image. We've got the players, we've got the youngsters, we've got obviously the experience. It's all there for whatever manager's going to walk in the summer. It's all there for the manager to sink his teeth into and to mould into his image a little bit more. But we just need to find the right manager for that. There's no point as going for a manager completely different to Jurgen Klopp. We've got to find someone who is similar to Jurgen Klopp, but not too similar that it's become predictable and boring. We've got to find someone who plays a similar way, but tweaks it a little bit into their image and can sprinkle a little bit of stardust here and there in certain positions to get us certain players that may benefit the system more. For example, as much as I don't like it necessarily, maybe we do need to look at our attack more. Maybe we need to get someone who's an understudy to Mohamed Salah and be a bit more of a natural right winger, especially with the Egyptian winger coming towards the end of his Liverpool career, potentially even being off in the summer, or maybe we are going to keep him for that final year of his current Liverpool deal. Obviously, only time will tell. Luis Diaz, a lot's been made of him, and there's a lot of speculation surrounding him. Will we sell him? Will we keep him? A lot of speculation surrounding that stuff, but they are players that can either be changed in terms of getting a couple of players in as understudies to benefit them and to kind of push them to another level and to obviously provide competition for them, or they are players that can be improved upon. In Luis Diaz's case, I feel like there is potential there to be looked at and go, we can probably get better if that is going to be the case. Slot can be that guy to come in. He can provide what I've been saying about his tactical analysis and his tactical awareness and everything. But again, is he going to be that guy? Is this whole thing going to be too much of an experience step up for him? Because let's face it, the long list of Dutch managers to come in from the Dutch league to the Premier League, they're not that great. I'm sure there are a couple of exceptions here and there, of course, but it's not that great. The Dutch league seems to have this weird thing where they can't resonate what they did over there over in England. You've seen Erik ten Hag as the most notable one. The Crystal Palace manager, whose name escapes me, one of the worst managers, is it Van der Boer? Van der Boer? I think it was Van der Boer. I want to say his name was Van der Boer. Dutch. Made a name for himself. Came over to this country. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing from anything that he did in those. I think it lasted like 7 games. But you get what I mean. Like, the Dutch league is somewhat more of a risk. But when I look more and more at the managerial situation and the managers out there, it's becoming more and more of a risk, and it's going to be a risk whichever way we do it, because I've always said there was never going to be a better manager than Jurgen Klopp to come to Liverpool. The only managers that I can see that are either on Klopp's level or above Klopp are the likes of Carlo Ancelotti and Pep Guardiola, and neither one of them are going to come to Liverpool. So we've got to look at maybe building someone up as the next guy to be on that sort of Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola level. And other than Xabi Alonso and Amorim, to an extent, maybe a bit lower than Xabi Alonso, but obviously still had the potential to reach those kinds of levels, everybody else is now a gamble. And this is where we're at now. We've gone from obviously seemingly having it all figured out and sorted in our heads about Xabi Alonso or Amorim, to now we're having to take a big risk and a big gamble with whoever it is, because we've not got anybody out there that is either going to be A, realistic in terms of an Ancelotti or a Pep Guardiola to join Liverpool. That's just not realistic. Or B, there's no serial winners out there. No serial winners whatsoever. There is loads of potential. There's loads of potential out there in terms of young up-and-coming managers. But there's such a risk and there's such a gamble. Like, I was looking at De Zerbi as the guy to maybe come into Liverpool and was expecting it right at the beginning until my mind completely switched to Xabi Alonso and then to Amorim. But De Zerbi is such a risk. Gary O'Neill would be such a risk. Arne Slot would be a massive risk to say that he's never managed in the Premier League before. And of course with what's gone before him in terms of Dutch managers coming to the Premier League. So whoever we get is going to be such a huge risk. And it was something that I was expecting. But it was something that I felt we had a bit of a solution to in terms of making the right choice for a manager with huge potential that has got at least a little bit something behind him or on his CV already that can really bolster his chances of making this Liverpool side great. Now, I'm looking at the managers out there and I'm a bit worried. I am a little bit worried. I'm not going to lie. I am a little bit worried in terms of what are we thinking here? What's the thought process in terms of who are the candidates to replace Jurgen Klopp at the end of the season? I'm looking at a lot of names that have got some intrigue behind them, but there are a lot of question marks behind them as well. And for a club that has done so well to build themselves up the way that Liverpool have, and for a club that's going to lose their best manager in the Premier League era that they've ever had, and for the foundations there to be completely laid for someone to come in and just build upon them. He doesn't have to change it too much. There doesn't have to be an overhaul. There doesn't have to be any sort of major switch, major change. There doesn't have to be a complete rebuild. It just needs to be built upon the foundations that Jurgen Klopp has already laid. I'm looking at everybody as a panic. And the more that a certain someone's name is circulating in Jose Mourinho, I said right at the beginning of this, when Jurgen Klopp announced he was leaving, knowing our club, we will probably turn to Jose Mourinho. I said that as a bit of a joke. But you know what? The more and more that I think about it, the more and more I think it actually could be true. And the more and more that I'm worried if that is going to become true about the future of Liverpool Football Club. Because we are in such a great position in terms of the players that we have for the here and now. The players that have experienced that aren't going to get any better or progress, but are still strong enough to be considered some of the top players in the Premier League that we currently have right now. And of course we've got some of our best young talent coming through the academy that we've had in years. And not just like one or two players here and there, but a bunch of them look very, very decent and have a lot of potential behind them. And I'm worried that someone like Jose Mourinho would burn it down. Now, do I expect Mourinho to do it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I am a little bit worried. I am a little bit worried in terms of the way that things are starting to unravel and we're starting to turn our attention away. Ornstein might be the guy. He might be the guy, and this might be it now. Maybe it is the third choice. Maybe it is necessarily the third choice. Maybe Alonso was the first choice. Maybe Amorim was the second choice, and maybe this guy's going to be the third choice. That doesn't necessarily faze me too much if this was always the sort of A, B, and C plan. But if this is not going to happen, the worry really sets in from that point forward. Like I said, I'm a bit concerned. There is growing concern. And I think that whatever we choose now is a risk, is a gamble. But I have to back the club, because otherwise, what's the point? What's the point of being a supporter if we don't back the club? Like I say, Slav to me looks decent. I understand why Tottenham was seemingly looking into him before they signed and appointed Ange Postecoglou before they did. I understand why they were necessarily looking at him. But like I say, it's a risk. It's a massive risk coming from the Dutch league to this league. And especially with what we currently have right now at our disposal. It could work. I could be sat here in several months' time going, this was beautiful. This was a beautiful masterstroke by Liverpool. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't concerned. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried. And I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't entirely enthusiastic with the potential appointment of Arne Slot. Or even Gary O'Neill for that matter. So, I am a bit worried. But we'll obviously have to wait and see how things go. Obviously, we'll talk about it more and more the more news that we get on this. We're obviously looking and waiting to see how the developments go in terms of Liverpool's search for the successor to Jurgen Klopp. But it doesn't seem like it's going to be Ruben Amorim anytime soon. That's the reports coming out, and that Arne Slot and the likes of Gary O'Neill as well are also being considered for that job to become vacant at the end of the season. Those are your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of any of this stuff that I'm talking about in this video? What do you make of anything that I talked about with Liverpool and their search for the latest manager? What do you make of the names that I've talked about? Anything along those lines, I'm sure will make for great and interesting reading from you guys in the comment section. So please do leave your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it down below. I'm sure it'll make for great and interesting reading. Can't wait to hear from you all. Otherwise, hit the like button away. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you all again very, very soon.